down there, Warsaw. Off to the orphans. Monsieur, see me play. Let's go.
We had a wonderful donation, 700 coats for the 700 kids at OSA.
No, what did you bring here?
We brought over 700 pieces of gloves, scarves, hats for children ranging in age from 3 to 17. So they're all different sizes.
I represent a lot of families who either didn't have kids, couldn't have kids, or life passed by too quickly and the opportunity passed them by. When the war broke out, clients called and said, what is going on with these children? We're Googling, we're reading, these kids are walking miles and miles across the border. Who's helping that? The adoptions have been frozen, that there's a moratorium, that American families can't adopt these kids.
I got it. They don't have parents, and now they don't have a country. I just did not expect to see these young children coming up to us and wanting to high-five us. Boom, 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 and hug us. They just grabbed us and hugged us. They don't know who we are, but they saw we were fellow human beings there with them, and we gave them rides on our shoulders, and the joy that they expressed showed me and folks with us that they needed that so much, that this is something that is lacking in their lives.
From Odessa to Poland, our trip was 38 hours. By train, electric train, only sit, not sleep, 17 hours. Children sleep together. Потому что на сегодняшний день самое страшное, что может произойти, это торговля людьми. И в России очень много детей вывезли из оккупированных частей Украины.
When we leave, we're not going to just leave you, but we have really extended ourselves and our connections to make sure that we're with you until the end. I speak for myself, but I think we all feel that way.
Kids like this, kids like this.
So Senator, can you believe we actually, from that meeting at Benito's so many months ago, where the topic of helping the Ukrainian orphans in Poland came up, that we actually got on a plane and we're here?
That was serendipity. We found each other by accident. It was a message from God, quite frankly, for us to do God's work. And this is what I see that we're doing. I want to tell you how grateful I am for introducing me to your passion.
I was born in Poland. I left the country when I was 7. So I remember communist regime at the time, and my mother and I came to the country in search of the American dream. But so many young children were left behind. For me to sit here today to tell you that I am living my dream, to share the American dream with these children, is one of the greatest moments of my life. As an international family law attorney, I help unite families with children. So many American families either didn't have children, couldn't have children, or life just happened. Well, imagine where we are today. There are 4,000, as far as we know, orphans from Ukraine and Poland. These children are beautiful. They are loving, and they are willing and happy to meet us, to talk to us, but more importantly, we've identified how much love they need.
No other country in the world has ever embraced another country's refugees as Poland has, and it has given me great Polish pride to do that. And this is one of the greatest experiences of my life, which you will see. First and foremost is the interest of the child.
Ladies and gentlemen, although you saw clapping and smiling faces, this is a very difficult conversation we're going to have today. I thank you for joining us. My name is Karolina Dehnhard. I am an attorney in the United States. But most importantly, I was born in Poland, mówię po polsku bardzo dobrze, and I feel such pride to be Polish and to be here with you today. When the world broke out in war in Ukraine, the American people that are waiting to adopt children were first and foremost to offer help. We are focusing on the good of the children. We decided that in order to find out what's happening, we need to travel to Poland. But you know what? You can't travel from the US and not have amazing partners. So as you saw in the video, and as you will see as part of my esteemed panel, many of these individuals have been part of this journey with us since August. We got on a plane, we came here, we visited over 1,000 children out of the 4,000 that are here from orphanages, and quickly shifted our agenda, not only dealing politically on the issue of potential adoptions, but humanitarian relief. And my panel today, which is esteemed and I will introduce, will tell you about the need that these children require right now. So first and foremost, I'd like to introduce Senator Leśniak, who is joining us from New Jersey. Senator, are you there?
Dzień dobry.
Senator Leśniak has served in the New Jersey legislature for over 40 years and has moved mountains to change laws. This is the most perfect individual to join in companionship, to talk about the adoption moratorium and to raise awareness for our children. Senator, we'll be back to you in just one moment. Let me introduce the rest of the panel. Artur Gorniewski, someone that opened my eyes to the orphanages in Poland. He is the one that partnered with myself and Senator Leśniak from the very beginning to bring us to the actual orphanages. It's one thing to watch CNN and Fox. It's another thing to walk into an orphanage and actually hug and touch the children. So Artur, founder of the Help Foundation, welcome.
Hello, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Joanna Jozefiak, president and founder of Mediciner, an international healthcare association, my partner in crime who travels with me throughout Poland, offering needed medical relief to the children. Joanna will share with you what she has already done and what she plans to do to ensure quality of life from the medical perspective for the orphans. Welcome, Joanna.
Welcome. Thank you.
Now we have Asay, who I had the pleasure of meeting today for the first time, but our conversation over the phone was quickly a synergy. You're the Chief Medical Officer with Aerial Recovery Group, and you will talk to us about what's happening in Ukraine right now, how the orphans are being shifted from orphanage to orphanage, the needs, the real-life story, boots on the ground. Yes?
Exactly.
Welcome, welcome. Yuliia Nikandrova, tak?
Nikandrova.
Very good, thank you. Head of Services for Children Affairs in the Odessa region. This is the beautiful woman that introduced me and Senator Leśniak to Odessa, the first orphanage that we were able to visit. There's over 750 children, I believe, in Odessa, all different ages, all different needs, and we are proud to support you and to work with you. Welcome.
Дякую велике, мені також приємно.
I mamy panią Irenę Marszałek-Czekierda, Director of the Municipal Center of Social Aid in Rzeszów. Welcome, witamy.
Dzień dobry, witam Państwa serdecznie.
Dziękujemy. Pani Irena nam opowie, co tutaj w Rzeszowie robimy dla dzieci, którzy może mają rodziny, ale tym bardziej potrzebują pomocy. Także temat się rozkręci nie tylko dla sierotek, ale ogólnie dla rodzin. So what I'd like to do to really keep this crisp, because we only have 40 minutes or 45 minutes left, is talk to you about the who, the where, the when, the why, and the what. And it's important because that will relay the message of what we're trying to do. And I think it's only appropriate to start with Senator Leśniak to talk about the why. Why, Senator, have we decided to partner on this mission?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inspiring me to get back to my Polish roots. My grandparents were born in Godowa. I understand it's very close to where you are, 100 miles from Kyiv. Close to the Ukraine border. Indeed, my Ukrainian friends say that I'm a closeted Ukrainian. So when you brought up to me the plight of the orphans from Ukraine in Poland, I jumped at that opportunity. And what we were able to do, first of all, is we brought them presents, toys, coats, iPads, but we brought them a lot more what they needed most and what they're not getting, and that's love and affection. Yes, they love the toys and the clothes, but they love being with us. You saw on the video how much they need that love and affection. And that's the why, because they are not getting it. Unfortunately, and obviously, Ukraine has had to suspend their adoption proceedings. So what we want to do and will do and offer to the government of Ukraine, along with the government of Poland, the United States, our European allies, a partnership so that these children can have a loving family to embrace them. And you saw the love that they're lacking. So what I hope we can accomplish today is to, as we say in American football, to move the ball forward.
Yes, thank you, Senator. And thank you. And certainly we're going to return to the concept of the American dream, which, by the way, doesn't only happen on American soil. Giving someone the American dream is giving them a chance of hope and a healthy future. So, Senator, you are absolutely correct in the fact that we brought so much joy. But the reason we were able to do that is because, Artur, you introduced us to the need. And it was a very quick synergy between the two of us, because you were the first person out of the few that I've met that immediately went to Ukraine without question for your own safety, for anything other than helping. Tell us about those first moments.
So as far as my background is, I am a tour guide in Warsaw. I talk about the history of this land. Then when I saw that the history is repeating itself, then I knew that I was just one of these guys who sat into the car and went to the border. And I tried to help as much as I can. It needed much more organization. It required staying in Medica, a reception point, to volunteer over there, to coordinate transportations. Then we started with already another people delivering a lot of food to Ukraine. We needed warehouses in both Lviv and Kiev, then also on Polish side. We started to hire drivers so to be able to continuously deliver all the goods. And then still I was asking myself question where the help is needed most. How should we plan our helping so that it reaches most vulnerable places? So when I got acknowledged that there is a place where there are 750 children resettled from Ukraine to Poland, as Senator beautifully said, that these children lost their parents and now they are losing their country, then I was trying to help as much as I can, but what could I do? And then this amazing group from US, you, Karolina, you contacted me, Senator Leśniak, you came, you equipped every single kid with this thick, warm coat and shoes and scarves and gloves and hats and the iPads. That's been so amazing. So that's when we came across Yuliia Nikandrova, that's right in here, taking care of all of that.
Thank you. And this is a great segue, Yuliia, to go to you, because Artur, in fact, introduced us to Odessa as the first orphanage, and it was overwhelming to walk into a building that seemed like a regular summer resort. You didn't think that there were, orphans living there, but there are. And you graciously welcomed our delegation and shared with us the day-to-day of these children. They obviously went through trauma. They had to escape war. They're in a different country. They're hearing a different language. Can you tell us a little bit about the daily life of these children now that the war has progressed several months in, but maybe start with those first moments. How were those first moments for these children in Odessa?
Я навіть не знаю, як це вмістити в 10 хвилин. Для того, щоб я буду говорити повільно для тих, хто розмовляє англійською мовою, хто розуміє українську, то краще. 3 березня війна вже почалася, діти вже знали, що таке повітряна тривога, діти знали, що війна, але вони ще не усвідомлювали, наскільки це може бути масштабно. Ми взагалі на той момент, коли розпочалася війна, не думали, що буде так так масштабно і так трагічно для всієї України. І я пам'ятаю той день, було прийнято рішення про те, що ми маємо забезпечити дітей в безпечному місці всім необхідним. Але постало питання, куди вони поїдуть, в яку країну, в яку державу поїдуть діти. І тоді одним з таких пропозицій було до нас запрошення, надійшло від Польщі, від держави Польща. І 3 березня з Одеси, з залізничного вокзалу, ми сідаємо в електропотяг. Я хочу, щоб ви розуміли, що на той момент це був хаос для всіх, бо була паніка. І електропотяг – це те, що нам організували. І це дитячі будинки, інтернати і притулки для дітей. Для тих людей, які, можливо, не так добре розуміють тему, є діти батьківські з асоціальних родин, які відібрані, але батьки ще не позбавлені батьківських прав. А є діти-сироти і діти позбавлені батьківського піклування, які мають статус відповідний і можуть бути влаштовані в родини. І ось ці всі заклади, навіть зі студентами професійних технічних училищ, це є коледжі в Європі, збираються в одному місці, в одному електропотягу. І загальна кількість разом з супроводжуючими, їх було не так багато, тому що серед тих людей, які супроводжували дітей, була я, я не вихователь, але не було бажаючих. І нас було 3 з мого офісу, з моєї служби у справах дітей, хто поїхав з дітьми. 18 годин ми їхали електропотягом сидячи. Діти спали один на одному. Разного віку, від 2 до 18 років.
Yuliia, that's a good place for me to interject. Aaron, what you are sharing is the actual exodus out of Ukraine, the immediate need to get out because the safety of the children, and as you highlighted, true orphans who do not have parents, true orphans relying on the social service system in Ukraine to survive. Those children had to be evacuated. They were very fortunate that they had your leadership and the institution that you were providing. However, Aaron, what you probably saw was the more emergent relief of needing to have an NGO or someone to step in, a foundation to step in, because they did not have that leadership. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, absolutely. Apparently 3 months of Duolingo Ukrainian isn't very helpful because I didn't understand a thing you said. But to answer that question, absolutely. We were going to areas where there was a complete breakdown of those resources. And these children were in some cases left without care, and in many cases just plain insufficient care. So what we did, when we came in, aerial recovery actually was on the ground within a week of the outbreak of the war. And we immediately plugged in with the orphan rescue, and that became our primary effort, was to provide, initially it was just to provide kind of safe passage, but it immediately turned to providing security, because we discovered, and this really shouldn't be a surprise to us, but we discovered that these children were being hunted, right? The predators were coming out en masse, and we saw this firsthand. Traffickers want orphans because orphans don't have anybody looking for them. That's bad for business to have somebody looking for your product. So we were actually providing safe passage, essentially fighting off the sharks that were trying to get to these children. And unfortunately, we know that many of them have disappeared. We don't know where they went. So we were trying to help. The Ukrainian government was doing everything they could, and amazing what they have been doing. But we were able to come in and provide a little bit extra. And other NGOs too, I know that are doing something similar, a little bit extra support to give these children that safe passage.
To get the children to safety. Yeah. So I think that's a beautiful stopping point for one moment to kind of link what's going on here. So you have the head of social service or someone that's working for social service in Ukraine helping to evict the children, to bring them to safety. When the war broke out, you have NGOs and other foundations here, Artur, at the border helping to bring the children. They are now here. Yuliia's in Odessa running the show in one orphanage. But it doesn't stop there, because now when you go to the orphanages, and as Senator Leśniak and our group from the United States saw, it's not just a matter of sleeping and eating. These children have needs, and if they're going to be here for a year or two or more, and while we try to tackle the very sensitive topic of lifting the adoption moratorium so the children could have loving families, there is a tremendous need for medical relief. And this is where Joanna Jozefiak steps in as a visionary in the world of medicine and a philanthropist in the world of giving back. Joanna has successfully organized for one orphan in Wrocław that we met to have an operation. He's 2 years old, his name is Max, to have an operation on his feet so that this child can walk. So think about what we're talking about, a group of individuals, ordinary people, coming together to get them here safely, to give them shelter, and to now improve their quality of life. So Joanna, first of all, thank you for what you do. And please tell us a little bit about what your International Healthcare Association is doing and has done for these orphans.
Thank you, Karolina. It is like, for me, it's not that easy to talk about it because you guys visit all of the orphans' houses. Senator Leśniak, you and all of you, I was like, after I visited one, I just decided I will concentrate on the medical help for the kids, because it's just like, for me, it's a very hard to talk about it, because I saw the small Max. He couldn't walk, and the question was, if we're not going to start already, he cannot gonna work anymore in his life. So I just decided, I know they need the most important thing. They need love, and this is what you guys trying to doing, and they need the medical help. This is what I supposed want to do it.
Thank you, beautiful. And as this conversation continues, and as hopefully many of you will join our journey, we're going to have updates. Max is going to walk, and there's going to be other children that we're going to help. So Joanna, through your relief and your organization, I'm sure that there's going to be many more success stories to share. I'm going to shift for a moment to Pani Irena, who, although does not have orphans in the orphanages in Rzeszów, does have a model that under her leadership was developed to help promote the trauma, help solve the trauma of coming out of a war zone into a new country. What do? You are shaken, you are scared, you have no family, you may not have resources. How do you continue with the education, the wellness, to allow these families and children to have a continuum of a quality of life? So, Pani Irena, please share with us what you did immediately when Rzeszów welcomed the refugees, and maybe then comment about your system that you like to share for the other regions in Poland.
Witam Państwa serdecznie. Przepraszam za mój głos, ale od kilku dni mam niedyspozycję wokalną. Proszę Państwa, dla nas wojna w Ukrainie rozpoczęła się 24 lutego i jest tutaj na sali niesamowita osoba, która była motorem sprawczym tego wielkiego przedsięwzięcia, które miało miejsce w Rzeszowie, ale też jest siłą i takim pociągiem tego, co się dzieje. Mówię o tworzeniu systemu pomocy i wsparcia. Chciałam Państwu przedstawić panią Krystynę Stachowską, wiceprezydent miasta Rzeszowa, jest tutaj razem z nami. Tak jak powiedziałam na początku, dla nas wojna rozpoczęła się do 24 lutego, ponieważ około 18 dostaliśmy informację, że za około godzinę w Rzeszowie pojawią się pociągi uchodźców z Ukrainy. Tak jak tutaj moi poprzednicy wspomnieli, każdy był zdezorientowany, nie wiedzieliśmy, jakie będą warunki, w jakiej kondycji fizycznej, ale też psychicznej będą te osoby i wspólnie razem ze współpracownikami całego Urzędu Miasta już od 24 lutego, Szanowni Państwo, w cyklach całodobowych pracowaliśmy na dworcu i utworzyliśmy tam taki punkt pomocy, punkt informacyjny, punkt wsparcia socjalnego, punkt wsparcia medycznego i punkt wsparcia psychologicznego. bo mieliśmy świadomość, że oprócz potwornego zmęczenia fizycznego, te elementy takie emocjonalne, bo emocje tu grały ogromną rolę, będą też i nam bardzo, ale to bardzo zależało, żeby wyjść z pomocą i w jakiś sposób pomóc tym osobom odnaleźć się w sytuacji. My jesteśmy miastem specyficznym z tego względu, że Rzeszów był miastem transferowym, a to znaczy, że przez Rzeszów w tym takim najbardziej gorącym okresie przejeżdżało kilkaset tysięcy uchodźców dziennie. My dla tych wszystkich uchodźców mieliśmy ofertę pomocową. Kiedy były mamy, chociażby z takimi małymi dziećmi, jak tutaj widzimy, one miały przygotowane miejsce do spania, miejsce do odpoczynku, miejsce do wsparcia psychologicznego, miejsce do zabaw dla dzieci i tak samo sytuacja dotyczyła osób starszych i w szczególności pań w różnym wieku. Takie były początki.
Pani Ireno, proszę parę minut powiedzieć na temat tego, co rozmawialiśmy prędzej, że ten taki system, co teraz jest stworzony, który patrzy na edukację, na medyczne potrzeby, na socjalne rzeczy, jak to działa w Rzeszowie i jakby inne miasta w Polsce mogły też to zaakceptować, nawet w tych domach dziecka, bo to jest po prostu taka pomoc ogólna, tak?
Tak, to chętnie tutaj się z Państwem podzielę naszymi doświadczeniami. My tu na terenie Rzeszowa mamy w takim przedziale, szacujemy około 50 tysięcy uchodźców. Dzieci w szkołach i w przedszkolach jest około 1000. I pracując i organizując system pomocy, szanowni Państwo, pracujemy wielopoziomowo. Czyli mamy część edukacyjną, gdzie w szkołach przygotowane są klasy integracyjne, klasy pomocnicze, gdzie dzieci pracują w języku ukraińskim, bo wiemy, że uczą się w szkole na tak zwanych ukraińskich teamsach, ale jednocześnie chodzą do dzieci do szkół. W pierwszej kolejności stawiamy na integrację. To jest klucz do tego, żeby być razem i funkcjonować razem. Więc cała część edukacyjna, różnego rodzaju tablety, różnego rodzaju translatory, tłumacze ukraińscy i nauczyciele różnych języków. A to wszystko po to, żeby dzieci dobrze i bezpiecznie się czuły. To na poziomie edukacji. Na poziomie wsparcia socjalnego, oprócz tego, że rząd polski zorganizował cały system jakby wsparcia finansowego, to musimy pamiętać, że my tu w Rzeszowie w ramach środków zewnętrznych przygotowaliśmy różnego rodzaju pomoce dla dzieci, czyli pracujemy w małych grupach. Mówię tu szczególnie o takich dzieciach, które są bez mam, ich opiekunowie są babcie, są ciocie. My wizytujemy te mieszkania, jesteśmy z tymi osobami, ale zgodnie z zasadą poszanowania miru domowego i bezpieczeństwa w całej formule pomocowej nie można być nachalnym. Trzeba zachować prawo do samostanowienia.
Tak, Pani Ireno, bardzo dziękuję za te słowa. W tej chwili jeszcze wrócimy do Pani, co chodzi o to, co się dzieje w Rzeszowie. Senator, I'm sure you understood every word of that in Polish, undoubtedly. But to summarize, really what Ms. Irena shared with us is critical and something you and I have talked about, which is the power of the Rolodex and to bring together the right resources really from the United States at this point to provide relief and long-term support, not only politically, but from the humanitarian perspective. Senator, how do you envision that happening with your experience in the legislature for 40 years and the work you've done?
Okay, but niezbyt dobrze in terms of my understanding Polish, but I try the best I can. But what I am trying now and can do with everyone's support here is to strengthen the partnership between Ukraine, the European Union, UK, and the United States. We are fighting this war together. Ukraine is doing a wonderful, wonderful job, and they will win, and the war will be over. And then the reconstruction begins. And this partnership needs to stay together. There are some phrase of this partnership even now, what we propose is to help cement that partnership. And if we have in the United States, in UK, rest of the European Union, we have very competent governmental officials who have already vetted families regarding their qualification to be able to support a family and give them, support an orphan and give an orphan the love that they need. So what we will be doing is asking these countries to come together and for Ukraine to give what we say in legal terms, comity, and which means to respect our laws. We will and basically to respect our process in the adoption proceedings, where we will work together with Ukraine, but they obviously cannot do that now while they're fighting a war, and they won't be able to do it very well during reconstruction. So to strengthen this partnership, and most importantly, in the interest of the child, for the orphans who have already been declared by Ukraine as being orphans, to give them a loving family. I will be taking this to United States Senator Bob Menendez, the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. I've already spoken to him about it. I have his complete support, and we just have to, as I said, move this ball forward, because every day that goes by means another day in an orphan's life who doesn't have a loving family to embrace.
Thank you, Senator. Very well said. While that is happening, and for many that turn on any news channel, notwithstanding your political affiliation, you know that it's a process. So while we are dealing with that process behind the scenes, these are the individuals on the ground that are helping support these children every single day, and quite frankly, making sure that they stay alive. I want to go back to Aaron for a second. You and I had a conversation this morning about truly the horrific conditions that now exist in Ukraine, given the lack of heat, lack of water, the blackouts, etc. Can you share with the audience what you're seeing, and this will really underscore why we all need to unite to help?
Yeah. So what makes a child a potential victim is vulnerabilities, and not having basic needs is one of the biggest vulnerabilities, and of course not having loving parents. And these children are suffering from all of that. We have overcrowding in most of the orphanages. I mean, it's a migration of thousands of children, right, and into a system that's already overloaded. So there's children that are congregating in living spaces that are meant for much fewer people, spaces that were never meant to be living spaces. Orphans often are getting sort of the last resources that are available. Often we were seeing that they weren't getting some of the basic needs, but just because it wasn't available. Food. We've got things like, we're trying to support the education by giving them things like iPads and whatnot, but yet with the rolling blackouts, they can't even charge them. So a basic need like education is not happening. So these kids are just falling further and further behind in their ability to even catch up.
So, Senator, you dubbed this properly the forgotten generation, the forgotten children. And before we go back to Artur, did you want to comment on the fact that these children may, in fact, be a lost generation?
Sure, very much so. As a matter of fact, just recently, I want to give a shout out to United Sheiks, and Arthur knows he worked with them. One of the orphanages ran out of food, as you had said, ran out of food, and they were there in a moment. But that support cannot go on forever on a haphazard. What a great job! I don't want to take away from anything, but a tremendous job everyone is doing. But we have to move forward together in the interest of these children and get them loving families.
So what you see on the stage right now is a senator in the United States that's taking interest in the issue. You have caregivers here that are providing the hands-on care. We have individuals that are in Ukraine reporting back. And then you have someone, I'm going to go back to you for a moment. You are really in between both countries, Arthur. You are going there, identifying the need, seeing it firsthand. I've seen your videos. Sometimes you're in the middle of a missile going off, right? And I worry for you. But you come back, you share the stories, and then you orchestrate all of us to get the help together, whether by messaging or fundraising or gathering iPads and coats. So where we are today, so many months after the war started, what would you say that interested parties need to focus on? What do these kids need the most?
So first of all, I think that we undertook an amazing, difficult, important path, and I think that we are on a very good way. I think that we are accomplishing these things. Just when an information appeared that Sarah just mentioned, so problems with food in a place where 36 resettled orphanages are, the response was immediate, and that's how I could move on to another problems, which are popping out every day. So, of course, we are worried about the shelter, about securing of all the most important basic needs, just as Aaron just said. The basic needs, securing them is most important. Of course, in Ukraine, it's much more difficult than to do this in Poland, but still we must gather. Time passes by. Interest gets lower from a lot of NGOs. So conversations like this, panels like this, presence of the senator, of you, Karolina, of all of our amazing guests in here is crucial to be on that path and to reach our aim, which is making a day of these children normal, making an orphan children think life is good. I don't want to look for another solutions. I don't need to go to another place because this is where I am.
So to give them that sense of normalcy, so while the world falls apart and they now are more traumatized than they already were, coming together to give them that sense of hope. So two issues with overcrowding, and I really want you to conceptualize this. I hate to bring this back to World War II, but I'm going to for a moment. Think about the people that were, together in very small quarters. Think about what happened. And one of Joanna's partners, a doctor who's here from the United States, from the military, really raised this point yesterday, in that you have lice, you have intestinal, you have all these issues happening simply because of the close proximity. So Aaron talked about the fact that there's overcrowding issues, and that as a result of the overcrowding, we now have medical needs, right? But how do you get the medical aid over there? What do you do? Conversely, in Odessa, we also have many children together, although you have the space, but we're talking about volume of children in the same space. And Joanna, you have also commented on this, in that how can we not recognize that there's a medical need when you put 100 people together in 6 square feet? So how are we going to tackle that issue? Aaron, I want to start, and we'll go back to you with, how is the overcrowding being addressed, or is it simply you just need to survive?
Yeah, in Ukraine, especially where the orphanages that we're supporting are mostly in the Lviv area, and releasing or alleviating some of that crowding is by getting the orphans over here on this side. But that's not necessarily the best thing to happen either, right? These children, keeping them in their home country is really, we're not adding more vulnerabilities, I guess, to refer back to what I said before. And it's not happening. The resources aren't there. And a lot of times, I'm glad you brought up World War II, because these kids, in a lot of cases, are being sheltered in World War II shelters, World War II bomb shelters, right? So they're not really up to date. So it's not happening, I guess, is make a long story short.
So the medical issues certainly arise.
Yeah,
Joanna, how do you...
And the medications are not available.
So how do you envision your association to potentially addressing this issue? The fact that there's a need, there's health and survival issues, and how do we resolve this? What can we do to help?
So our idea was to send our doctors to all of these houses to identify what's the problem they are. I'm pretty sure when we're going to start with the psychology help, because there is a lot of kids that have like a huge trauma. So we just decided to start first with the project. Number one, identify the problem. Number two, to start to support the kids with our psychologists, and not only the kids, because you're laughing already, but I know it's it's a very hard job you are doing, so we have to taking care of you too.
That is a beautiful segue to the last question that I have, which is going to go back to Yuliia and to Pani Irena. So we think about psychological reaction to trauma and war and change and grief and death and loss. And while we are trying to get these children to safety and to really help them survive, we need to talk about the psychological wellness and survival. So Yuliia, your children, your 750 or so children in Odessa, what support are they getting for their psychological well-being so that they could help understand, cope with, and function within this new world they're in?
Я буду коротко. Дивіться, я хочу поділити ваше питання на декілька частин. На сьогоднішній день ми маємо зрозуміти, що діти про війну чують з медіа. Сьогодні вони не бачили бомби, як діти з Маріуполя, чи з інших міст, чи з Херсону. Вони все знають, бо вони читають медіа, вони користуються соціальними мережами. Але, як правильно сказав сенатор, дітям потрібна родина, сім'я. І в пріоритеті ми кажемо сьогодні про перший варіант – українська родина. Після закінчення війни українські діти мають повернутися на Україну. На сьогоднішній день це питання, сьогоднішній день міжнародного усиновлення, чи там міжнародного усиновлення сьогодні призупинено, і національне також для тих дітей, які знаходяться за кордоном, за межами України. Їх неможливо сьогодні влаштувати в родину. Я хочу продовжити думку сенатора. І це перше і головне, що потрібно з психологічної точки зору для наших дітей. Це в першу чергу. По-друге, діти знаходяться в Польщі і за 9 місяців вони, звичайно ж, адаптувалися бо в нас є гарні умови. В нас для цього є, там, де живуть зараз наші вихованці, в нас одні з найкращих умов проживання.
Thank you. Thank you for the comment. So before, Senator, we go back to you, what I wanted to just to say is no one is saying that the children should not go back and be adopted by Ukrainian families. Of course, that would be the ideal thing to do. Of course. But we have to live in a real world. Your country and the country of Ukraine is going to need so much support to be rebuilt. So because Ukraine had the foresight of allowing international adoptions before the war, it is important to come back to that in a healthy, well-vetted, supported, safe environment for these children. But we cannot ignore the fact that the entire country is going to need the support of the world to rebuild. You need to have a place to go back to. You can't go back to rubble. So I truly want to underscore that you are so correct in what you're saying. And Senator, your vision of opening up the loving families beyond that of Ukraine also needs to be underscored.
Thank you very much. And also, I might add, this will bring our countries closer and closer together. We are partners. We're partners in fighting Putin. We need to be partners in helping these children have families. We have thousands in America, UK, throughout Eastern Europe. This will strengthen our relationship, which has to go on not just to the end of the war, but also for reconstruction. And also for forever, we will be more united if we can reinstill international adoptions, which happened before, and they're needed even more now. And I am determined, and we are determined, to help what we call the forgotten children of Ukraine.
I think that a great place to end this conversation really is about a model that Ms. Irena was sharing with us that actually works, because this problem is not going away at 5 o'clock today. The war is not going to end tomorrow. Whether the war continues for another year or 2 or 3, we need to consider the fact that there are lives that need to be maintained and services that need to be provided. So, Ms. Irena, I'd like to ask you just to summarize maybe the top 3 points of how the system in Rzeszów is helping to keep the family safe, promote their wellness, and plan for the future.
Tak jak powiedziałam wcześniej, system wsparcia jest na kilku poziomach. Na poziomie edukacyjnym, na poziomie medycznym, na poziomie socjalnym i teraz na poziomie psychologicznym. I pozwólcie Państwo, że chwilę się nad tym zatrzymam. Przede wszystkim praca nad emocjami dziećmi, bo to, że traumatyczne wydarzenia miały miejsce, one są i niestety pewnie jeszcze będą, to jest fakt, który ma miejsce. Należy doprowadzić do takiej sytuacji, że w ramach różnych technik pracy pracujemy z dziećmi, żeby te złe emocje uwolnić z siebie. One pozostaną, ślady w pamięci pozostają. Natomiast należy w pierwszej kolejności doprowadzić do takiej sytuacji, żeby życie mogło się toczyć i żeby dzieci mogły funkcjonować w grupie rówieśniczej, a jednocześnie w środowisku, w którym przebywają. W każdym mieście, niezależnie od tego, czy to jest Rzeszów, czy to jest każde inne miasto w Polsce, czy inne miasta, kraje na świecie. Jak mówimy o pracy na emocjach, to też pamiętajmy, że dzieci zajmują szczególne miejsce, ale tak samo taką opieką i wsparciem należy objąć te osoby, uchodźców dorosłych. To są też ludzie, którzy przeszli ogromną traumę, którym serce pęka z żalu i rozpaczy. W dalszym ciągu nie mogą się pogodzić z tym, co się stało, którzy potrzebują sobie na nowo stworzyć życie i świat. To są osoby dorosłe, które potrzebują nauczyć się języka, znaleźć pracę i zaistnieć w nowej rzeczywistości. I to jest wyzwanie, które wszystkich nas czeka.
So whether we are talking about the orphans who are little children up to the age of 17 and a half or 18, or the refugees, the families that are now in Poland, this is a new beginning and a new chapter in our history. There's going to be a tremendous need for global cooperation, for global communication, and for global relief. So closing thoughts from our panel. Senator, I'm going to go to you. Closing thoughts for the audience in the room. We touched upon many things today. We have a lot of work ahead of us. What would you like this group to walk away with?
Well, first of all, I again want to add how proud I am of being a Polish American, for the Polish people opening up their homes, their schools, their jobs. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. But also what I've never seen before is the need of the orphans that we're talking about. As I said, we were able to bring them coats and toys and iPads, but they most wanted our embraces. These feelings need to be met. And they, as much as we try, and as I said, we have food shortages. It's only going to get worse until we implement a partnership with the international adoption community of America, UK, and the European Union with Ukraine, because we're going to be in this for a long, long time together. And the more we unite, the closer we will become, and the better we'll all be off for it. And most importantly, for the forgotten children, the orphans of Ukraine.
Thank you, Senator. Artur, closing thoughts with the work that you're doing.
Well, let me thank you as well for gathering in here and sharing all these ideas. I know that tomorrow I have to go to Ukraine again. Then I know I have to pick up this boy, Max, for a doctor visit. So I am trying to put it up day by day and continue. So instead of thinking,
you do.
I just prefer
day by day
to
relief.
do
Thank
what
you.
I gotta do.
Thank you. Joanna, closing thoughts from your medical perspective. What do we want the audience to walk away with from what you're seeing?
So first of all, all of us met on Monday with Max, who should walk. And these small steps we do, the only one person, the only one heart, is so much for all of us. And this gives another kids hope. And we want to give them hope and show them we are here for helping Ukraine now.
One child at a time. Aaron, closing thoughts on the work you're doing. You're actually boots on the ground right now.
We are right now. We're working with MAME Project, who's still continuing the effort of moving these orphans safely. And I just want to say there's nothing like the embrace of a child, but the embrace of an orphan child who has nothing, who has no parents, is something you never forget. And there's a rule: children need families, and we need to come together as as governments, as organizations, as NGOs, and collaborate. We need to stop the infighting. We need to come together and provide what these children need. We can do that, but we have to do it together.
Thank you. Yuliia, for you, if the war continues and you're not able to go back as quickly as you would hope, what is the biggest need that you see for these children in Odessa right now?
Ну, так як ми живемо зараз в блекауті і без там переважну частину часу без світла, інтернету. Я хочу сказати, що в Одесі, от я не знаю інші регіони, але більш-менш ми забезпечені всім. Ну, у нас дуже багате місто. І в регіоні, в принципі, стараємося. Я хочу сказати, щоб це був ітог нашого висновком, мого спічу. Звичайно, дітям потрібна родина, дітям потрібна безпека, їм потрібно відчуття того, що все буде добре. Я скажу одну річ, якою я керуюся вже 4-й рік на цій посаді. Рятуючи одне життя, ти рятуєш весь світ. І можна не рятувати, якщо в тебе немає сил рятувати мільйони. Но якщо ти можеш врятувати одну дитячу долю, одне маленьке життя, ти робиш велику справу. Я дуже вдячна знайомству з Артуром. Моя колега нас познайомила, тому що той день, коли ви приїхали до нас, і діти побачили ще більше уваги. От увага Всесвіту до нашої біди в країні, великої трагедії для нашого народу, вона робить нас сильнішими. Сильнішими. Для нас всі ці випробування, вони не роблять нас слабшими. Я впевнена, що ми переможемо, але я дуже дякую на фоні наших перемог зараз, я дуже дякую партнерам, які допомагають нашому генофонду, маленьким дітям майбутньому України. Тому це останнє, що я хотіла би сказати. А все інше наші партнери допоможуть. Дякую.
Thank you very much. And you really beautifully underscored the need for cooperation amongst all countries. Pani Ireno, zakończę z Panią. System w Rzeszowie działa, system w Rzeszowie pomaga. Jak by ten system mógł być lepszy? Takie ostatnie słowo od Pani. Jak jeszcze, co można zrobić? Jaką pomoc Pani by potrzebowała?
Szanowni Państwo, na koniec ja mam tak naprawdę jedno przesłanie. To się dzieje, ale zawsze można więcej. Partnerstwo, partnerstwo, jeszcze raz partnerstwo. Osoby prywatne, wolontariat, sponsoring, instytucje publiczne i organizacje pozarządowe. W ten sposób, szanowni Państwo, tworzy się system, który naprawdę może działać cuda. I z takim przesłaniem Państwa zostawiam. Dziękuję.
Thank you very much. And I think that the example of our little friend here rolling around is the happiness and joy that every child deserves. So without even asking this guy to participate, he did a really good job in bringing a smile to our faces with a very heavy topic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. I encourage anyone in the room that would like to stay and speak to us about joining the effort, getting involved, whether in Poland or anywhere in the world. We welcome you, your support, and the conversation. Thank you to my esteemed panel. Senator, thank you very much for taking the time in the U.S. We look forward to welcoming you back in Poland, and we wish everyone a beautiful day. Thank you.